who came here. I tell him that our Guruji was came here, and he was a nice teach meditation or TikTok asana. So he wants to came here.
Well, you have to question
Hmm.
what is the most important thing in your life. What is it that you really um, want from this life?
Peace.
Is peace enough?
And
Because the first answer we have to not to get stuck on that. Because the moment we think we understand ourselves fully, or we think we understand the situation fully, that's the moment that we are trapped. We're trapped by our understanding. So the questioning is more that we're opening up to life, right? We're penetrating, we're digging into life itself, and we're questioning what is it that we really want? What is it that's really important for us? And if you just get stuck on this one simple answer or this one simple idea, how are you going to meet the challenges of life? You couldn't, right? Because all you have at that time is the understanding of what you want. But if we keep questioning, we keep looking into this, we keep investigating, what is it that I really want in my life? And that gives us that point, that access point to life itself. And that's where our real intelligence is, in the life itself. So, what I find is important is that I find ways to show up to life, where I'm put on the spot, where I'm out in the light. And then at that moment, one way or another, for better or worse, I have to show up. I have to be there. I have to embrace life. I have to face life. And then that seems to be the way that makes the most sense, because even if I get what I want, I will still want more. There will still be challenges, right? So, how am I going to face those challenges, or how am I going to deal with those challenges? And if I just have this idea that I want to be peaceful, or I demand to be peaceful, or something like that, that's not a good way to deal with the challenges of life, or one idea, one concept, one belief. So that questioning is really important, and to bring that questioning to your own mind.
what what I want my life.
Yeah, what is it that you really want out of this life? And I think most people will say they want the happiness, the joy,
Yes.
the freedom, the
Yes.
peacefulness,
Yes.
but how much do we want that? How completely are we willing to make the choice for that instead of all these other things that show up in life? We get sick, or we get tired, or we have a difficulty, or like you said today, with someone
Yes. Yes.
challenge
Anxiety.
you,
Challenge.
someone conflict with you.
Yes.
So we need a lot of energy behind this wish.
So.
And we need to apply that energy to life, to the mind.
So how can I find that I want this is my life? Because can I thought, can I awareness about my thought, or just another way? I mean, how can I find that I want this is my life? I want this is my life.
Well, this is the point, is that it's not just about what you want.
Mm.
What you want is like giving you the guidance or the direction that you're going to go into and come back to and stay connected with. But what you're going to do at that moment this moment, that's what you have to figure out. But not figuring out in the usual way or the thinking way. Because just thinking about things isn't how the mind works. It's not how the body works. It's not how life works. So we have to go into a kind of meditation with life itself, or taking life as a meditation itself.
I mean, when I going to my work, when I doing my work, I also do meditate with work. With detachment.
Is that work something that you love? Is it something that you believe in?
Mm,
What do you think?
work.
Is your work, the work that you do, is it something that you believe in? Is it something that you love, or something that you don't love, that you don't like?
Uh, that's I can't questioning my mind. No, the answer was I don't like, but I'm doing because I'm not a graduate person and I am 10 plus 2 and
10 plus 2.
yes, HS, HS pass out,
What is it?
high secondary, plus 2.
The education level.
Education level was not a graduation, not not can't complete a graduate BCom, Bachelor of Commerce, not complete my bachelor degree, and that a point that I can get a white collar jobs or more high payable jobs in India. So I choose this for family or for just like, but I can't love hotel industry, hospitality industry, because there was a lots of pressure and not pressure, so pressure. All industry was a pressure, but
How much can you make each month?
nine. I mean, even USA dollar
Yeah.
was a. I can check that in dollar. Mm, 107.62 United US dollar.
$100 a month.
$107
A month.
a month.
And that is enough to help your family?
Not enough. I have on my mother, and they have some rupees.
Yeah.
My grandmother, maternal grandmother, my maternal uncle, they have some rupees. But I can't satisfy this salary. In India, the hospitality industry, they can't give a much salary.
How much do you work every day?
10 hours
10 hours every day.
every day.
10 hours every day, 1 month, about 100 US dollars.
107 US dollar. What can I do?
You can have some tea. This is a Chinese tea.
Okay. That's not US. Bhante.
Here.
That's not US. US was like a nice country. There was a labor law. The minimum wages there was a $100, $1,000, I think, per month. That's in India. There was a lot of pressure, lot of
Competition and
competition. The people was dull, and very few people was wealth, and they
well, I think what we can understand is that it's not about the money,
not about the money.
because if if you are working from an American perspective, from an American person,
Mm,
if you are doing 10 hours a day, hard work,
mm,
good work,
mm,
for 1 month,
mm,
you are making $100.
mm.
That, for American person, they cannot understand that
No.
in their whole life. They
Mm.
cannot believe that,
Yes, yes.
right? This, for them, that is like a slavery,
Mm,
for sure.
mm,
So you are working like that,
mm,
and not not too bad of a problem, not too big of a problem, right? It's not like you're having a panic attack, right?
mm.
So it's not about the money as much as it is about what is important in your life to focus
that's
on and
that's
how
that's
you can
no, no,
use your time.
that's my important. Uh, I I want to leave this country. I want to leave this India and go US, UK, the developed country, or Singapore, this country. So that's why I going to hospitality industry, because in US or UK they hire lots of Indian or lots of Bangladeshis, Pakistanis, these people, because they are poor. And in US, if the US hotel Hilton, the suppose example Hilton, if Hilton hire a US person, the US person charge lots of money, but in India person don't can't charge.
But you have to,
This is my perspective, but actually I leave this country.
well, of course you can do that, and maybe you'll have success in doing that and making more money. But once we make more money, or once we get more of what we want, then what? We just want more and more and more. So the fundamental problem is still the same.
More.
The people, yeah, the wanting more. So the people in poverty, they suffer from poverty.
Yes, property.
And the people in wealth,
Mm.
they suffer from
From
wealth. They have the same thing. I can feel, I can experience your state of mind, right?
Mm.
That you're sharing with me.
Mm.
And that state of mind is not starving, not incredibly confused, not extreme depression, not extreme anxiety, not major suffering, but the attachment is still there, and the idea that if you get more, that will be the solution to your suffering that is there. But that is not the solution. So people can do what they want to do. You can live how you want to live. You can do your best to go to America. But from the side of the Buddhist monk,
Mm.
you know, we are trying to teach more about cause and effect
Cause
and merit and making merit.
merit.
Because for the food,
Mm.
for for the shelter,
Mm.
for the medical care, it's not too much difficult. Of course, it still takes energy and time, and it takes work, whether you are a monk or a normal person. But it's not too much problem. But what is major problem is the wanting more and more, that mind is the big problem. So that mind is the reason that it is difficult to have the food for everyone, or to have the medical care for everyone, or to have the housing for everyone, because of that want, that need for more, more, more. Because when we are suffering, when we are in a suffering mindset or a suffering state, we can't think clearly, and we're very closed in about what we can do. We can only do one particular thing in this little tiny box, this little tiny alleyway, right? But when we are not so much attached to identifying with the body, the feeling of the body, or identifying with the random thoughts in the mind, there is a lot of space of what we can do from here. So the more that you can open up that space, the more you can fuel the wisdom in your own mind, the clarity in your own mind, the strength in your own mind. And when you change that, you can be very useful, not just for your own needs, but also the needs of other people. Very, very useful. You can be creative, you can be dynamic. There are many different options, many different things that you can do at that time. But when you are stuck in this idea, I need more, I need to get this, I need to do this,
I
etc.
need to go US or UK or
Yeah,
Thai.
or you need to keep doing the same job, or you need to keep being the same person, or you need to not say this, you need to say this, you need to act this way, you need to not act that way. Of course, there's some truth in it, but a lot of times that keeps us from the openness about what we know, about what we experience, about what we can actually do, about how we can actually help at that time, at that moment. Not just help ourselves, but help the others as well. So, Siada, he has a lot more experience than me about this kind of case, and I will ask him about it. But Siada and people like Sadhguru, you know Sadhguru,
Yes.
and some other tradition, some other group, they make a system for people who they are serious about getting out of the trap. So it doesn't matter if you are a man, you are a woman, you are a poor person, you are a wealthy person. It's about your mind and how serious you are to volunteer, to do good deeds. The money is not the problem. The attachment to the money is the problem. And for the person in poverty, when you tell them that, they will say, or maybe it will even be inappropriate to say that to them because they don't have what they need, right? They don't have the food, they don't have the water, they don't have the shelter. But if you say that to the wealthy person, it's also inappropriate because the wealthy person has everything that they want. They have everything that they need. So money for
Easily.
them, easily. So money for them is just the natural situation. So you cannot say that money is not the problem because for them they have money and that's the problem. And for the people in poverty, they don't have money and that's the problem. But if you can put some food in your belly, if you can sit, if you can practice meditation, if you can be open to life, then we have the chance to fix the problem of suffering, the problem of doing the wrong action, right? The problem of being controlled by the desire, being controlled by the fear.
Yes. Being controlled by desire.
And so we cannot control the others. It has to come from this place of willingness. So, what you do if you change your life to become a monk or a nun, or to become a volunteer, or to become a yogi, or whatever it might be, right? No one can make you do that, in fact. It's only the willingness that comes from within you that can direct you in a new direction, right? So, it's up to you if you have that willingness and to what degree you have that willingness to change your situation, to live your life in a different way. That's not about your own understanding, you know. There are many opportunity, many possibility for doing good deed and for fixing the problem.
Yes. In my hometown, there was a 4 hours journey in my hometown. That's a big city named Asansol. Asansol.
Mm.
That's my hometown. There was a Buddha Vihar, only one Buddha Vihar. So there was a monk living there, a Sramana. You know Sramana?
A novice monk.
Sraman.
What is it?
Ten who, uh, I mean five sila. Ten
Yeah,
sila.
we
Ten sila.
say a novice monk.
Hmm?
A novice monk.
Anavis.
Uh, not a full monk.
Not a sialo. Not a
Not a full monk. There is a full monk.
not full monk. 10.
Yeah, that is meaning the monk that is not having the full ordination, not having upasampada.
Na upasampada.
Oh, one moment, please. You can introduce yourself a little bit. Say hello. Your hospitality, so you practice.
Okay. Hi. And Nama Buddhaya from Bihar in India. My name is Anirban Ghosh. I am from Asansol, West Bengal, and I am working near in Mahabodhi hotels in this area. That's a five-star property. I like meditation and I like Buddhism very much. And for me, Buddhism was very was a religion that follow intellectual people. The intellectual people that follow Buddhism. Many intellectual peoples like B.R. Ambedkar following Buddhism. And I want to actually in my mind I am a more attached in money or these types of things in greed, and I try to detach in those things. So yeah.
Seattle.
He was came.
He come
No. He was came.
to get his is that his the item, right?
I know.
So the camera fall down.
Okay.
But
But this and I try to good deeds. Or what I'm saying that in my hometown there was a not full monk. He not get a upasampada, but his guru was his teacher master was from Thailand. He was also a famous master. So he tells that you doing some good deeds, like you can buy a fish. I mean
buy a fish.
buy I mean the fish who lives in out of the water in very long time. This type of fish. In India, this called sole or magur. These types of fish in India. You can buy this catfish like a
Catfish.
catfish like magur and what kind of
Anyway, it is a fish.
their fish, and you can brought them and you can uh, go in river and and give them in water and I mean flow in water in fish,
Hmm.
in a live fish. So this is a very, I mean, good deeds for you give the pranadan or
You help the fish.
fish, or you can buy a bird. Um, I mean, many birds of
This is
parrot.
called animal release.
Animal release,
Yeah, so you
animal
buy
release.
the animal and you release it.
Release it. This is a very useful things, and you can't kill any small ant
Here,
or
here.
any. Thanks, Bhateji. But just.
This is very good tea for the body, for
Okay,
the stomach.
okay. The Chinese tree,
Yeah.
the animal release, and he tell that this is a very useful things for you, so I can try. Walking catfish, walking catfish,
And to put the catfish back in the water.
back in the water. Walking catfish, and the walking catfish species, freshwater walking catfish, native Southeast Asia. Walking catfish, back in the water, and this is I give a life to him. He also doing this, so that's a good deed.
There are many ways to do good deeds,
Okay.
but we have to start looking at life more realistically and remembering about the real situation of life.
Okay.
So, for example, you will die
Mm.
soon.
Mm.
Anytime. Your family, your loved one, all of us, we will become like the fertilizer. We will become like a compost. This is the nature of the body and the mind, to pass away, to dissolve. So this moment of life is everything. And it doesn't matter what way we make up the story or we make up the idea about our life and the people that we like and the feelings that we want to keep having. The truth is that all of those are impermanent. All of those are temporary, all the time, immediately. So when we think about our loved ones, we can remember about impermanence. Their body is going to pass away, for sure. There's nothing we can do to stop that. In the same way, there's nothing that we can do to stop our own body from impermanence, right?
Mm.
So if we just have this moment, we just have this brief, short time of life, how should we use it? How are we best to use it?
Okay.
And no one else can really give you that answer because you are an adult, you are independent to some degree.
Mm.
You have the strong attachment to making your own choice, to being your own person, your own individual. So how do we make the very best use of this moment? And from my understanding, from my perspective, we we should try to go into this moment.
Go into this moment.
Meaning, we practice a sadhana,
Okay.
we practice a meditation,
Okay.
we practice seriously to face the challenges that are in this moment. Instead of constantly trying to make the moment to be different or make the situation to be different, to be the way that we want it to be, if we can face the way that it is right now, that is the way to transform this moment and transform actually the engineering, the inner engineering inside of our own mind. And the more that you do that, and the more seriously that you concern yourself to be involved with that, the better of an engineer that you will be. And for sure, if you have to make a choice, you want to have the happiness, you want to have the peacefulness, you want to have the freedom in life. You don't want to have suffering and miserableness and confusion and these kinds of things. So the more that we face this, what we can call suffering, but really it's just the challenges that come up moment by moment.
Okay.
Uncomfortable feeling in the body,
Mm.
or the uncomfortable thoughts in the mind
Mm.
about the past or the future, the worries,
Mm.
the judgments. The more that we can face that and look at it, that's how we can start to engineer this,
Body and mind.
yeah, to be the way that we really wish for it to be. And when we are in this kind of situation where we have a guru, we have a teacher, we or we have a community, it's all about increasing that intensity as much as we can.
So, do you please teach me how to, when I face very, I mean, you know, use challenges, when I face very challenge in my mind, in my life. So, what can I do in these situations? I mean, my boss say, you do this, you do that. I am not very, very. I am not a very physically fit person. So my boss say, you do the bed. Now you transform the bed from here to there. So I can't get a bed for one. From I need 1%. So he said, no, you only you doing this. I'm not a fit. So how can I mean, let's say example. So how can I meet the challenge? I mean, how can I face the challenge? And now when I face the challenge, so how can I give up this challenge?
Well, you have to abandon it.
Abandon it.
You get a job with someone, you sign a contract with someone.
Yes.
That is the job and the contract to be abandoned,
Abandon
to
it.
be burned, to be finished, to be ended. Now, if that's what you want to do with your life, then that's what you will do. That's your choice.
Yes.
But if you know that that's not what you want to do with your life, then that is also your choice. Now, the the feeling here or the sense here is that, well, what am I going to do? Right? Well, you have two choices. Really, only two choices. You can either live
Okay.
or die.
Or die.
But you're going to die. You will die. But if you don't take up the freedom that comes with just living life, then you are already dead.
Okay.
You are subservient. You are serving the fear. You are serving the greed. You are serving the doing the things that you don't want to do. So, what kind of life is that? What kind of way to live is that? Now, of course, some people have idealism. So they say, but I have to work this job so I can buy food, so that I can take care of this and that and this and that. Okay, well, that's fine. If that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. But please understand that you will die, that we have a very short life. So, depending on what you choose to do, that is going to define the way that your life is. You're going to die. So, the fear about death oftentimes is actually keeping people from living. And then we talked about America. We talked about people making more money in America or something. But do you know how many people will end their own life, kill
Yes.
themselves
Yes. Yes.
before they quit their job?
Yes. In USA.
Yeah, in any place, in any
In
country,
yes, yes,
people
Japan,
will
Japan.
people will kill themselves, will end their own life
Mm,
before ending their job.
mm,
So we have to look at that,
mm.
right? Why are we so attached to working this job? Why are we so attached to living in this particular way? Why have we bought in so fully to that this is the only way to live our life, right? Because clearly it's not. If life is only going to be a struggle and you're being forced to do what you don't want to do, then that's not much of a life.
Actually, actually my mother was a lead, and she can't understand these situations. Actually, not these jobs. This material world is not for me. I mean, these people, this types of rough people, this job, not for me. I want to leave this world and going to CRO with you and many people. I am be happy in there, but not I am sad in my when I go hotel or there. I was not happy. I was I am another person.
Have to learn to say yes to life, to say yes to the freedom that is just going with being a human being, the freedom to develop your mind, the freedom to cultivate your mind, the freedom to choose a new direction, choose a new way of life right now. And that right now is not about the past, it's not about the future, it's not about creating a new story of your life. It's entering into life itself right now, vividly, directly,
Okay.
seriously. And we cannot depend on the other people to understand about what we understand. We have to learn how to detach from
Mm,
other people's understanding, in fact, how to abandon other people's understanding.
mm,
There's only a few people in the world, really, handful of people in the world who have an understanding that is worthwhile to take refuge in or to trust in. And what you find is that people in general don't even look for that. They don't even look for people who have a worthwhile or meaningful understanding in the world to take refuge in, to develop themselves. They just follow along with the habit energy of this fear and this desire to make money, and then they rely on the understanding of any random person who has money that they come across. You see? And this is very dangerous to live like that, to be like that. We shouldn't let money control our lives.
no.
Once you get some money, you want to keep it and then you want more. You know, once you have one kid, now you want another one,
Mm,
and another, and another.
that's
Once
it.
you have one wife, you want 10 wives, right? Or for the Muslim, the 77 wives in heaven.
In heaven, they
So
get.
So that other place, that other time, that better experience, we really have to start looking at, is there a better experience outside of this moment? Is it possible to have a better experience some other place or some other time? And the answer is no. We have to engineer our experience now. And continuously do that, we build up this mind of happiness, of freedom, of joy, of health and wealth, of exuberance, of vitality, of richness. The real wealth is in the health of the body and mind. So if we're sacrificing the health of the body and the mind to get coins or to get dollars or to get rupees, that's not going to work out for the world. It's
No,
not going to work out for the environment.
no.
And it's not working out, for most people. How difficult do you think it is to find a depressed millionaire if you go to, San Francisco or New York City or something like that?
Mm.
It's not difficult. That's how many wealthy people are seriously depressed, in a worse mental situation than you're in. They just have a fancy car or a nice house or a watch or something like that. So if you want to take your life
Mm.
and put on a suit and put on a Rolex watch and, drive a nice car,
Mm.
maybe that will happen, maybe it won't.
Mm.
But that's not really going to help you.
No,
And it's not really going to help the world either.
no.
So it's a shift in priorities about um, what we really want in this life, and the way to really get that. And if we're looking in terms of money or material possessions or material wealth development, that is not reliable. That's a fantasy.
Fantasy.
It's a fantasy, and that's not to say that fantasies can't come true,
No.
but the greatest wealth in your life is going to be the health and the wealth of the body and mind, right? The wealth of joy, the wealth of peacefulness, the wealth of mindfulness, right? The wealth of self realization.
Self-realizations.
And you can't get that with money. And for a lot of people, you cannot get money,
No,
much money. It's not possible.
not possible.
So then people spend 10, 20, 30 years chasing after, more money in their pocket, and you lose your entire life because of that.
Yes.
You enslave yourself to this idea of getting more money. Um,
Okay. So what can I do? I mean, can this monk? Can I be a monk? I mean, full time monks get a upasamprada, or can I go my home and try to understand my mind and doing mindfulness? I mean, in my home.
First, you have to try to do what you can do now, more and more. So, if you can practice meditation now, you should do that more and more. If you can spend time with the Sangha, with Sayadaw and the group here now, you should do that more and more. If you can bring the remembering about meditation to your life, to your work life, to everything now, then you should do that more and more. And you should bring intensity to it. And if you really practice that with a lot of intensity, you will get the answer because you will have more power to do more. Right now, you have a certain amount of power to go to the job and to talk with your mother and to um, think a little bit about being a monk or being a full-time volunteer.
But my mother was not give a permission.
Because you need to practice meditation more. You need to trust what you feel is right to do now, which is to be close with the Sangha, which is to be close with Sayadaw, to ask questions, to meditate,
Okay.
and you should try to do that more.
More.
And in the same way, sharing more with Sayadaw, asking more questions, sharing more about your experience, sharing more about your doubts,
Okay.
and then you can make the best use of this situation and what is available to you now. You can start to use it more and more. That's a problem most people have, is that they are not easy to use what they already have.
No, no, no.
Okay.
Thanks. Thanks.
Okay, we have some question online.
Okay. Oh, uh, I mean, Sweetie Big he that question that will it grow back? What in my hair? How?
Just ignore that person.
Okay. Hello,
So,
Bhante. How do you detach yourself from others' opinion of you, especially action, when you once valued these people opinions?
we have to develop a stronger stomach to digest more. Uh, the mind wants to play a lot of tricks about justifying our continuous misbehavior or our continuous lack of taking responsibility for each and every moment. If you are doing that, and oftentimes when people criticize you or when there is a negative situation, it's like a bitter medicine. It goes into your stomach, and that acid and that intensity, that presence has to be there to digest, to work through, right? To penetrate this difficult situation, this difficult experience. So you have to keep with that. You have to keep turning up the intensity of facing the challenges that are arising moment by moment. And those challenges are in terms of the body, uncomfortable feelings in the body. Those challenges are in terms of the mind, difficult thoughts, different social situations, different challenges, different people's opinions of you. And we have to keep facing that. We have to keep doubling down on our willingness to feel the suffering, to feel the unsatisfactoriness. It's very difficult. But when we go into that space, that is the space of our inner engineering. That is the space of our mindfulness and detachment, the power to bring that freedom and that way of relating to difficulty to be the way that we really want it to be, right? To train the mind to be the way that we really want it to be.
Okay, look, Bhante, it it's Kit from Monk Life. Thank you for the stream.
We have to detach. We have to detach from the past. We have to detach from the future. We have to live such an alive life that every moment by moment experience is a point of transformation. Okay? You can't avoid the past. You can't avoid the future. You can't get rid of your wrongs. You can't get rid of other people's opinions. You can't get rid of challenges in life. But what we can do is shift our perspective to recognize that challenges are the fruit of life, the essence of life, right? These challenges are to be faced, transformed, and overcome. No challenges, no evolution. No challenges, no development. And when you're very intimate with yourself, when you have a lot of presence that you offer to yourself, your life, your experience, moment by moment, instead of covering it up with alcohol and drinking wine, right? Then we know that that person that we were is not the same person who we are. And we know that those challenges that might come up from our past mistakes, our past experiences, the traumas that go along with them, are going to be points of healing. They're going to be points of helping. And what's the worst that could happen? Well, you will die. The body will fall apart, but that's already going to happen, and you're not worried about it now. So really, it's a kind of fear trap. It's not real, right? That situation, that worry, that fear is not real. Even in the midst of it, it's not real. It's just a happening. It's just an aspect of nature. It's an aspect of the whole. And if you can intensify your practice at that time, you can reach new heights of freedom and bliss and peacefulness and liberation and healing for sure. So we don't have to fear those challenges.
Is almost strong enough to overcome these feelings. I don't know
Surrender. Surrender to nature. Surrender to everything. Stop fixating on something. Stop fixating on someone. Get busy with life. Get busy living a meaningful life that's concerned with helping others, that's concerned with transforming the mind. If you know there's a lot of trauma, that's a lot of healing. That's a great point. That's a great opportunity for healing. So you need to dive into it. Open up to life. Say yes to life. The more that you say yes to life, the more that you say yes to the opportunities that are available to you. Okay?
so my question was, how can we, I mean, get busy to my life? I mean, get busy in my life with mindfulness, uh, with detachment, or just without mindfulness or attachment?
You should practice meditation seriously
Okay,
now,
okay,
continuously,
okay,
again and again and again.
okay.
It doesn't matter how comfortable you are, it doesn't matter how safe you feel, it doesn't matter how in danger you feel, it doesn't matter how uncomfortable you feel. This can be used, this can be transformed. Okay? The reality of death is all around us. It's like our worst nightmare. The
Hmm.
body is going to completely dissolve.
Hmm.
All of our loved ones are going to completely dissolve, turn into soil. And yet, we're not panicking. We're not freaking out. And so instead of wasting our life with distractions, wasting our life with pleasure seeking, wasting our life with these kind of low standards that we hold for ourselves, right? This low standard of happiness, this low standard of freedom, this low standard of uh, wisdom, then we take responsibility for this moment, for this experience, for this breath, for this heart, for this body, for this mind. And that is the route in which we can go beyond the body and mind. Thich Nhat Hanh, the Venerable Master Thich Nhat Hanh,
Vietnam.
Sadhguru, they say, the way out is in. So meditation is the way in. It is the practice of going in. And the more wisdom you have, the more insight you will have that when everything's falling apart, instead of, or things are difficult or things are comfortable, instead of going out into pleasure seeking, to getting drunk, to getting high, to taking chemicals, go within. Face, be with, direct the mind onto the direct experience of now, which is not some kind of esoteric term or some kind of vague term. This experience of the body, this experience of the mind, this experience of breathing, this experience of being. And you look vividly and intensively at that, into that, moments after moments, breaths by breaths. You come back to that again and again and again.
Okay. So, which kind of meditation do we first? I mean, that's anapana. I mean, that's a four types of meditation. Buddha say four type of meditation: kaya upasana, vedana upasana, uh, kaya upasana, chitta upasana, vedana upasana, and dhamma upasana. So, which kind of meditation we should be doing first? I mean, kaya pasana. In kaya pasana, there was a four type of meditations like that, like anapana, iyapath, and this. I mean, breathing meditations, and 1 minute, just breathing. Yes, breathing meditation, and iyapath. I mean, walking meditations. So, which kind of meditations do we go first?
Always come back to anapanasati.
Anapanasati.
Always come back to mindfulness of breathing. The more deeply and directly that you can penetrate into mindfulness of breathing and focus on mindfulness of breathing, you'll have plenty of work cut out for you. So instead of thinking about different types of meditation, instead of thinking about this world in which we become someone else, right? Go into anapanasati. What are we looking for? What do you need to look for? Life itself is expressing to you. The intelligence of life itself is being expressed through the happening of breathing. So, what else do you need to look for? It's not that you need to look for something in particular, it's that you need to look more and more closely, more and more directly, through experience, not through thinking, not through searching for something or seeking for something.
Okay, so in Anapana, that's I am doing Anapana for 10 minutes in morning and try to be 10 minutes in evening time. So that was enough for us. I mean, for me, or I am doing Anapana in my work also. I mean, when I doing my work, I'm a housekeeper attendant. I'm doing a housekeeping jobs. Just I'm cleaning this in hotels. I'm cleaning this. rooms or lobbies, just like a toilet. This, so that was enough for, I mean, 10 minutes evening, 10 minutes morning. That's meditation is enough for me or for those who works in different sectors. That, but or they can do meditation with their work. I mean, when I'm doing, I mean, cleaning or dusting this area, so I am doing meditation. That is
Listen, you have to stop seeking for some life outside of this.
okay.
It's like you're an engineer, a great engineer, but somehow the wires have gotten twisted. And now, while you're doing an engineering project for the building that you're working on now, okay, you're designing a building in the future, or you're going back and trying to fix the design of a building in the past.
Okay.
Your job is to engineer now. Your job is to practice anapanasati now.
Okay.
That this is the only time that we have.
Okay.
Who knows? This is 2024. There might be samurais, time traveling samurais from the future, waiting outside that door. And the moment that you step out that door, or the moment that you get up from your seat, or you go to the toilet, your head's chopped off by a cyber samurai. Why not? Or you slip and fall, or you have a heart attack, or something else happens.
Okay.
So, this is the only moment that you have. And the more that you can practice seriously with this moment, the more you can engineer your way of practice to be more inclusive, inclusive of every moment, inclusive of any moment, inclusive of any activity, of any time, of any situation. We all think we're looking for something very special, something very individualistic, something that's going to give us the freedom from our suffering. But the reality is that you've already won the lottery, but you don't know how to spend the money. You don't know how to invest what you have, this human life, this human attention, this human moment. So the more that you step into making the right investment by doing good deeds, by following precepts, by practicing anapanasati, by coming back to your awareness of breathing,
Mm.
by listening to Dhamma talks, it's too much, but we've got to keep coming back to it now somehow.
Okay.
And so the positive point, or the essential wealth of the Sangha or the Buddhist community or spiritual communities that are under the guidance of a real meditation master or a real well-known advisor, that that system is just there to help you be here and to develop the engineering in your mind to be here more. And then you can question, well, how do I want to be here? And of course, you know how you want to be here: exuberant, vital, happy, right?
Mm.
Alive. And then your way of being is going to express that naturally, and the way of decision making is going to express that naturally. So it just gets better and better and better and better. But firstly, we have to look at the engineering that's already there. And we may find out when we start to look at the engineering that is inside of our mind that it's not very skillful.
Mm.
So it's going to be a little bit difficult. So we need the willingness to feel the suffering. We need the willingness to embrace the difficulty. We need the willingness to not just seek after pleasure and trying to avoid pain, because that's not the answer to our problem. Tons more pleasure and tons less pain is not the actual answer to our problem. And this is our kind of engineering issue that we need to work out in meditation.
Okay. So can I do meditation if you? Thank
You should go to Siaro,
you.
sit
Okay.
with Siaro and practice meditation.
Okay. And this,
You
I,
just
I
give.
was, I don't know, I was.
Okay, you can wash it, sure.
So this Indian.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Thank you. Bye. There was a tissue paper.
It's okay, you can just put it on the table there. Yeah, just leave it there.
Okay, Bhante.
Sadhu, 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 Kyoto.
Can I get your WhatsApp number? Just when you going in US or all around world
You
with
can
share.
keep in touch with me, yeah?
Okay, okay. Because you are also good with my
Here, do you have your QR code?
QR code. My number,
Here.
hmm? QR code
Okay, what is your number?
6297. That's our code was plus 91 plus 91 6297 5988 34.
Okay,
My name is Anirban Ghosh.
Anir.
ANIR. Anirban. VAN.
Anirvan.
Anirban.
Okay,
And
I'll message you.
your name?
Bhante, Varrapanyo.
Bhante?
Bhante Varrapanyo.
Bhante Varrapanyo.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Okay, Bhante. Bhante Varrapanyo. Okay. Okay, Bhante.
Okay, do we have any questions online? Or more clarification? The reality is that the more we can go into the intensity, when it's very intense, the more success we're going to have. You know, nobody wants to hear that, but how do you think Usain Bolt ran so quickly? And, hopefully we can get to the enlightenment, we can get to the freedom. how do we know that we're doing it right? How do we practice meditation effectively? Well, we sit something like this, or we sit in a comfortable, stable position, and we don't have to be live on YouTube to do that. And once we find that comfortable, stable position, we close our eyes and we turn towards the mind. And the mind here, let's say, is the awareness. So we turn towards the awareness of what's happening. Simple, couldn't get more simple than that, right? And so as we turn towards the awareness of what's happening, there are many things happening. Sensations in the body, the experience of having a body, there are thoughts, there are feelings, there's maybe a vagueness or whatever you are experiencing, that's what you're experiencing already. So instead of getting carried away by those experiences and by the complicated thinking that can so easily be identified with, okay, we come back to this state of anapanasati, or mindfulness of breathing, awareness of the breathing experience moment by moment. And the more difficult it is, the more intense it gets, the better. Don't be afraid of practicing meditation. Don't be afraid of being aware of yourself. Being aware of yourself is fine. In some sense, you're always aware of yourself, but not with enough intensity to actually work on the engineering of the mind, or the way of being with difficulty, or the way of being with pleasure or pain that allows us to be free from what we are experiencing, or to stop identifying with the body, or to stop identifying with the thinking. And it can sound complicated, but there's nothing more simple, there's nothing more natural than meditation. Breathing in, we know. There's a natural knowing that we are breathing in. Breathing out, we know. There's a natural knowing that we are breathing out. And we take this up as a kind of righteous practice, as a kind of true practice, as a almost like almost like we're building a sense of trust with the natural mind. Ajahn Chah is very compassionate when he says that, and very true when he says that. Before we have peace, we will have to suffer, and we will have to suffer a lot. And maybe this can sound like depressing, or, something we don't want to deal with, but aren't you already suffering? Aren't you already going through difficulties and confusions and um, all these experiences in life? We have to stop. You have to stop playing this game in your mind. You have to stop feeding these thoughts in the mind. You have to stop chasing around thoughts like a dog chases around a mud ball. You have to become a lion. You have to bite the thrower. You have to come back to mindfulness. That's the detachment, is that you're not a dog that chases mud balls. You're not a zombie that chases thoughts around. You turn the mind around and you bite. You bite the awareness. You bite the mindfulness of breathing. You bite the direct experience of life, moment by moment. We're just so trapped in this narrative that our life is somehow uh, some kind of movie. This isn't a movie, this isn't a story. There's a direct experience here of life. And this is where the intelligence of life is. This is where the power of life is. If you're so attached to the story of life and identified with all of the thoughts in life, it's like there's a movie running that you're going to have to watch again and again and again and again. No wonder you're suffering. No wonder you're worrying about it. No wonder you're confused about it. No wonder that you seem to be doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result over and over again. Maybe not just you, but this was your ancestors, your parents were stuck in these same cycles, right? So this is to be the cycle breaker. This is to be the thought breaker. Okay? This is to sit on the throne. If you can do it all in one go, more power to you. That's great. But a lot of us are not in that situation. So we have to take refuge in a teacher. We have to take refuge in teachings. We have to take refuge in a community. We have to practice dana. We have to practice sila. We have to practice bhavana. And we have to make this a priority, a prime directive for how we live our lives so that we can come back to it consistently enough to get the results from it, to get the fruits from the work that we're doing. 3 holy messengers in Buddhism: wisdom messengers, truth messengers, sickness, old age, death. This is a natural law for the body, for the mind. So the more that you are attached to the body, the more that you are attached to the mind, the more you're going to suffer. So you have to learn how to transform attachment into this kind of liberating principle practice. This fundamental practice of facing suffering and transforming it. Learning how to suffer well, learning how to embrace suffering. Learning how to embrace suffering is learning how to embrace life. So we use all of this suffering, physical pain, mental pain, sickness, difficulty, to develop this capacity, this alchemy of transmutation of suffering into joyfulness, into happiness, into healing, into a sense of freedom, into a sense of renewal. I'm so grateful for this community that we have here, and for YouTube, and for the internet connection that I have right now, and this phone that I'm using. Um, to be able to be here and to meditate and to share the Dhamma, share my experience, and feel that I am put on the spot. There's nothing I'd rather be doing at this moment than being right here, right now. ChatGPT, what is samadhi in Buddhism?
In a way, you could say that ChatGPT resembles a tool that aids in focus and mindfulness, similar to the way samadhi represents concentrated meditation in Buddhism. Just as samadhi involves deep, pointed concentration, ChatGPT provides a focused, clear interaction.
Okay, a little bit self indulgent there. We can have some other questions for ChatGPT as well. Um, but samadhi is really when you kind of you get on the hook of meditation. So, for example, you may be feeling like very uncomfortable and very overwhelmed by something, and then once you get into the samadhi, or once you get into the hook of concentration, that pain, or that the suffering that goes along with that thought or that experience just kind of disappears or becomes much less problematic. And sometimes you can actually notice very directly once you enter into that samadhi. We're really going into, when we go deep into that meditation, we're going into higher levels, let's say, of consciousness, right? A consciousness that's more liberated from attachment, more liberated from identification with what's happening, more just awareness itself. I don't know what's happening to me. I have some kind of sickness or allergic reaction or air conditioning reaction, some kind of head cold. I don't really know what it is. But like Ajahn Chah said, you're going to have to suffer. You're going to have to get sick to get well. And, that's true. There's still going to be challenges in life, but that sickness will happen. We have to, we do. If you're concerned with this work and this community and these teachings, then we have to stop blaming. And we have to stop making excuses for, but I'm also sneezing, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe those 3 COVID vaccine shots are catching up with me. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But this is the nature. We've got this idea, some people might say, oh my gosh, Bhante, go and grab your opium pipe and relax. Have a good night. Put on Netflix, get out the big screen TV, um, relax in the hot tub. I'm not against it. Okay, if I'm forced to do it, okay. But the reality of the situation for anyone, for everyone, always, is that there is suffering, there is unsatisfactoriness, there is, it's not just pain and pleasure, but there's an attachment to pleasure. So that when that pleasure goes, how are you going to feel? When that opium pipe runs dry, I've never smoked opium, okay, but I've heard that it's a good time. Especially in Vietnam, apparently they used to drink tea and smoke opium. I mean, like I said, if I'm forced to do it, then I can't control that. But we we have to learn how to detach, right? We have to learn how to, even if it's not just physically but mentally, we have to learn how to process and begin to understand that this body is a body of impermanence. This body is a body of unsatisfactoriness. And also that this body is not particularly at all separate from everything. Physically, in terms of physics, in terms of the high sciences, in terms of quantum mechanics, this body is not a separate self entity, and it never has been. So, in fact, it is said, this is a holy messenger. This sickness, this difficulty, this experience of painfulness. Because if it's just an experience of pleasure, we are easy to, run in circles again and again, focusing on the pleasure and trying to get more of it. But when we feel the pain, we know that we don't want more pain. So the way out of that pain is actually through that pain. It's only through detachment. Now, if we were some kind of super alien universal being, maybe we wouldn't have pain. So that would be a different situation. But there is pain. There's pain that goes along with having a body. So what are we going to do? Have a little bit of honey, a little bit of local honey, maybe that'll fix it. But really, what we need to fix is our grasping, is our attachment, is our identification with this experience. To fundamentally go be to fundamentally go beyond this body, to go beyond this mind, to go beyond materialism, to go beyond the identification with the thoughts. This is really cool. This is my nephew Noah. What is that? 2075. He's a football. This is my nephew Noah. He's a football player. He's just 14, but he's bigger than me. But I think I can still beat him in arm wrestling. So it's not about becoming a zombie. It's not about becoming a alien, but it's about deepening the mind to understand that impermanence is life. Okay? That more so than someone doing something wrong and needing to blame them or needing to judge them or needing to shame them or something like that. We need understanding, we need wisdom, we need compassion, we need openness to life. And that means openness to our suffering. That means a willingness to feel what we're feeling right now. Maybe this one will fix everything up. So there are many meaningful and rich practices that we can do as a Buddhist, but without that energy of concentration, that energy of mindfulness, that capacity to look deeply at the suffering, the uncomfortableness, the difficulty, right, that we feel within ourselves, without the power to look at that, we can't make use of the mantras, we can't make use of the chantings of the monks, or the bodhisattvas, the power of the bodhisattvas, because we haven't gone deep within our own mind. We haven't gone deeper than the surface level. So even though others may have a very powerful and deep and meaningful mind, we couldn't really receive that. We couldn't connect with that. You can only understand the language that you're have some experience with, right? The culture that you have some experience with. So the culture of meditation is the culture of looking deeply. So are you willing to look deeply at this moment within yourself to perceive the Buddha within, which is at the very deepest level? One of the fixations that we need to work on quite seriously is this fixation on the fruit. And one of our friends here in the live stream was asking about this previously, about, I'm looking for this eureka moment. I'm looking for this special experience, and it doesn't seem to be coming. And how do I get that, and how do I work that out? But it's like trying to force a seed to become a fruit with your willpower, with your focus. What your focus and your willpower actually need to be on to allow that seed to grow into a great tree and become the bountiful fruit is the soil, right? The root system, the water that it's getting, the caretaking that's going into the plot of land, the tending to the field of our life, the embracing to the mud, the suffering that is here. And then we plant these seeds, the seed to become enlightened, the seed to be free from suffering, the seed to help others, the seed to be healthy and wealthy, joyful, exuberant, alive, right? To have access to that innate intelligence of life itself. So keep tilling the soil, keep working with it, keep embracing suffering, keep being with that difficulty, and don't try to force the seed to give you a fruit. This is a kind of insanity. This is what McDonald's exploits. That's not good food. That's not good for you. That's not healthy. That's not the food to feed your children and feed your family. But oh, if I just go there and I just give them a little bit of money, then I'll get a cheeseburger. So let me go and do that. So keep tilling the field. Keep embracing this unsatisfactoriness. You're not satisfied. Wonderful. Feel that. You're bored. Feel that. You don't know what to feel. Feel that. Because there's all these subtle kind of layers of the mind, these subtle thought forms, these subtle perspectives, these subtle views that we're not really aware of until we start to look deeply. You see? And then when that subtle form appears, then we look deeply at that. And that dissipates and more subtlety. And then we get into these experiences of reality, or these experiences of being beyond the bounds of our usual idea of ourselves and our usual idea of the world. But it's all experiential. It's not like you're trying to get something out of a claw machine and you're putting coin and coin and coin in and you're waiting for it to actually pick something up. It's kind of that we're keeping our coins in our pockets and we're just aware of the claw machine. And when we're aware enough, when we have enough clarity, when we have enough brightness in the mind, we will actually notice that that claw machine doesn't have any panels on it, that the panels are illusory, and we can just go and take that happiness, that peacefulness, that freedom, that joy. That is our right as a human being. But we have to really have bright eyes, bright heart, bright mind, presence to be able to see the nature of our mind and then be able to make use of it, to engineer it in the way that not only that we want to feel, but the way that we want the world to feel and the way that we want the world to be. We shouldn't just want ourselves to be healthy and wealthy. We should want our communities to be healthy and wealthy, the world to be healthy and wealthy, the soil, the environment, the nature to be healthy and wealthy. Because this earth is our home. And even more than our home, it's our mother. It's what we sprouted out of. We're no different from a tree in that way. We're just a tree with arms and legs and livers and stomachs. Monaco, buongiorno. Buongiorno, buongiorno, Americano, Monaco, Monaco.
Il monaco è americano ma ha vissuto e insegnato meditazione in Italia. Una parte del mio cuore è davvero custodita nella splendida Italia.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I've talked about many times before, and I'm still a young monk, and I'm still a young man. I'm 31 years old, and I've been a monk for 6 years, and I have been practicing meditation for more than 10 years, but a lot of it was a lot of struggle and just a lot of work to kind of deal with my suffering and calm down the mind, turn the mind around a bit from the kind of perpetuation of suffering that it was in. So I do, and my plan and my work and my teacher's work as well is to create more systems, healthy and wealthy and robust systems for men and women, young people and old people to ordain, to become full time monastics, to come and live at the meditation center as a volunteer or as a monk or as a practitioner. That's there. That intention is there, and I've done some experimentation with community building and community leading, and running some of the meditation centers that we do have. So in the future, I hope, that is my wish, that there will be more accessibility and more access for places to people to for people to come and stay at the meditation center for long term, become a monk or a nun. But I'm not really ready, mentally or spiritually, to take on that position just yet. So what people need to do if they have this idea that they want to become a monk is, they need to become a Buddhist and a meditator. And to become a Buddhist and a meditator, you need community. You need to find a meditation center near you. You need to find a Buddhist temple near you and show up there and volunteer and serve and practice meditation seriously and really get involved. You need to make Buddhism and meditation a major priority in your life. Now, when you do that, you get this experience of what it's like to be involved with Buddhism and what it's like to be involved with meditation. And as you take that more and more seriously, there will be more opportunities that open up for you, like a more serious meditation retreat. And then you can try that out. And so, really, it's only after that, after you've done a good meditation retreat, after you've studied some Buddhism, you really like Buddhism, you're really interested in Buddhism, and it's at that time that you come to Bhante or you come to a monk and say, "Hey, I want to be a monk. What do I do?" Now, I hope that in the future, we can have a system, that I will be a part of a system where it will be as accessible as possible for people to come and live full time at the meditation center in America, or to live full time at the meditation center in Italy or in Asia, for the short or the long term, right? That you can just come and try as soon as you can. But even with saying that, most people who reach out to me who say they want to become a monk are not equipped and not ready to sacrifice their life. And because of that, the mind, the ego, it gets attached to barriers. It gets attached to these kind of um, simple things that need to be worked out by one's own to step forth, right? So people approach me and say, they want to live at the meditation center, they want to become a monk or a nun, and now they're asking me, how do I get a passport? Or how do I get a visa for another country? Well, I'm not a travel agent, I'm a monk. So you kind of have to work out a lot of the dedication and the seriousness and the depth of the aspiration to become a monk, before it's realistic for you to step into that situation. Because it's not like I can fly to wherever people are and fill out their passport information and get them a visa and then bring them to a meditation center. Like, that's not really realistic. Now, that's fine. I mean, that's wonderful that people have the aspiration. And yes, life is difficult, but we have to kind of have this resolve, and we have to get through these barriers on our own with our own resolve. Otherwise, it's just not realistic to become a monk, right? It's not really about working up the ranks. It's more about working up your resiliency in the face of barriers and boundaries as it relates to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha and becoming a monk. It's not about working up the ranks as much as it is about making yourself serious about showing up and doing everything that needs to be done to show up and making that the number one priority. Because if you're making a choice to become a monk, becoming a monk has to be the number one priority. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So, for example, in 2018, when I left America and went to Thailand to ordain and become a monk, there was no plan. There was no deal that I had made with any monks that were there. I had never been out of the country before. I had never had a passport before. I don't think I'd ever even taken a flight before. And I flew from and I had a car and I had a job and I had a place where I lived. All this stuff, I just gave it up. And I flew from America to Thailand for the first time, red nosed, blue ears, whatever you want to call it, spring chicken in terms of being out on my own in a new culture, a new country. But the reason that I was able to do that and then become a monk, even though there was no system set up for me, there was no plan set up for me, there was no arrangement made for me, is because that was the only thing that I wanted to do. Was to take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, to take refuge in the community of monks. There was no monk that I was able to talk with like this or that was talking towards me or openly like this, right? So I went there. I didn't go to have drinks. I didn't go to party. I didn't go to be a tourist. I didn't go to explore. I went there to ordain. So I went there. I got a hostel for myself. I brought all these clothes. I didn't know that Southeast Asia was like 100 degrees every day. So I thought, well, long sleeve shirt. I have some jeans. I want to make sure I'm ready. All that stuff got thrown away, like the first day because it's hot everywhere all the time. And I just started knocking on doors. I knew a few monks that were there that I had contacted in a limited way and kind of said I was interested to become a monk. And I went and I started knocking on doors and I said, hey, I'm here. I want to become a monk. I've attended these meditation retreats. I've lived at a Buddhist temple in America before, not a monastic temple. So it didn't give me information about what I was walking into in that sense of becoming a monk. And things process, things happen. They said yes. One monk said yes, you're serious about this and I'm serious about this too. I'm going to help you become a monk. And it went from there, face to face, heart to heart, mind to mind. There was no shopping around for temples or monasteries or picking and choosing or, well, what kind of food are they going to have there, and what kind of teachings do they have there. And I wanted to become a monk. And I gave up my life to do that. I gave up everything to do that. And that led to here. And so the barrier for becoming a monk is not you don't have enough money to get a flight, or you don't have a passport, or you don't have this or that, or you've got this relationship or whatever. It's that you do not dare to abandon your life, which is okay. You don't have to. But that is the what keeps people from becoming monks. And then even if they do become monks, that's what keeps them from continuing to become a monk. Because you don't just abandon your life one time and then become this enlightened monk dude. I wish that was the case. That would be ideal for me. But in fact, you have to abandon your life again and again and again and again. You have to make this choice, and it's a big choice to make, right? Especially when you're young and healthy and people like you, right? People say nice things to you, people give you job offers, um, you know, and you say, no, that's not what I want. I want to be a monk. I reached, okay, somehow, I never went to college. I was never educated. I was never much of an educated person. And I didn't like education. I didn't like the education system. I remember probably my best skill or my best faculty is like English language. I used to love reading and being speaking and reading out loud and things like that. I can remember in school when I was very young, and my senior year of high school, I got straight E's in my English course because the teacher there let me sleep. So I went to sleep every day, all day. I had to go to summer school for English, and I was very skillful for reading and reading comprehension and all that. So, after I graduated, my life just fell out from under me. I fell into a deep depression, a deep existential crisis, and I kind of tried to work that out through go following Craigslist ads online and doing working on farms and traveling around different places in the country. Trust me, it wasn't glamorous. I didn't have basically anything in my pocket. I was destitute, and uh, would come up and crash out, and just this back and forth, and then eventually, I found myself in Seattle with a job making $25 an hour as a carpenter's apprentice with also some kind of management responsibilities. And I had a great car and I had a great place to live and I had a great relationship and I had great weed. I was smoking tons of weed every day. I mean, tons of it. I was a king of stoners. Yeah, I had 12-inch subwoofers in my Toyota Camry with tinted windows. I had a gaming PC. I mean, I was living the high life. I was stoned out. And I was making a bunch of money and I was in Seattle and that was the life. And nice people that I was around that were interested in spirituality. And there was a moment when I realized that none of this is giving me freedom, that this is a trap, that I was perpetually in this state of seeking after something, getting that thing, experiencing its loss, and then seeking it again and again and again. And then it was going nowhere, and then it could go nowhere. And at that time, I made this resolution to give up my life, to abandon my life. And that led me to taking refuge in the Sangha, becoming a monk later that year, in 2018. So becoming a monk doesn't fix all your problems, but I'm saying that this is what, led me to have that like degree of resolve to abandon my life and to become a monk. It was success, right? As miserable as that success was, as limited as it may have been. And, as I'm having more success and more development in my meditation, partly because I've withdrawn a lot from anything related to interpersonal relationships and just been focusing more on my practice and my training and my precepts, um, yeah, I feel more serious about giving up what I have, and so I'll go into a period soon of silent retreat, and I won't be online. I won't be teaching for a number of months, and I'll just really be going within myself and doing my best to get more success, and then hopefully come out on the other end with a lot more to give, and a lot more to support people. Shifting. I believe in shifting, and I'll show it to you right here and right now. Here we go. Okay, now that was a stage 1 shift. And now I'm going to show you what a stage 5 shift looks like. Don't go anywhere. Leave a like, W's in the chat. Get ready for a stage 5 shift. Hit that like button, hit that share. A lot of people do not do stage 5 shifts live, but I'm about to. So buckle up, leave a like, leave a share, leave a comment, like and subscribe. Here we go. And buckle in. Bring your mindfulness with you. Here we go. And this ain't a prank. This ain't a prank. This is about to be a real stage 5 shift. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Count down with me or we're starting again. We'll start back at the top. Stage 5 shifting. You've heard about it on TikTok, but you've never seen it live. It's about to happen. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Count down with me, everybody. Starting back at 10. All together. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. See, people don't like shifting so much because it gets intense. Here we go. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. We're about to shift. Everybody get ready.
เป็นเสียริวไทยนะเด้ออ๋อดูอะไรตัวกินอ่ะไอ้แท้มาไทยนาวอ่ะเวลูได้ละเวลูได้สุดาအဲ့ဒါဖျားစိတ်လူရှိတဲ့အထဲဝင်ထိုင်လူတာအပြင်မှာဘောလီနေတာ
ဟုတ်ကဲ့သူကအလူအဲ့ဒီဆရာလေးကအလူအတွက်တော့မဟုတ်ပါဘူးခင်ဗျသူကအလူအတွက်တော့မဟုတ်ဒါပေမဲ့အဲ့ဒီမှာသူကတော့ရှိတယ်ဒီကဘာလို့လဲဆိုတော့ဖျားရဲ့
ဆရာတော်
ဝိယခဏလေးခဏလေးဘယ်လိုလဲနေသွားတော့ဘယ်လိုပြောပြဝိယတော့သူ့ရဲ့ဝိယကြတော့တော်တော်များများသိငန်းပေါ့နော်အဲ့သိငန်းလို့ကြတော့ဒီဟုတ်ကဲ့အဲ့ရသိငန်းတော့ဒီနေ့နေ့ပါတော့အဲ့လိုလည်းအဲ့ဒါသူကလူတော့ပေါ့သူရဲ့ဒီကဒီရတော့ဒါနဲ့သူ့မှာ
So that's what stage 5 shifting looks like, real shifting. You can't fake that. And we're here in the present moment. Yeah, the important thing is that we know the truth of taking it easy. So we know the truth of a natural mind. We know the truth of a simple mind, right? Just this moment, just breathing, just going for a walk, just having a snack. We know about the power of just doing something, and we know about the power of just not doing something. That's really where our mindfulness is. That's where our awareness is. And the detachment is that we can perceive, we can realize, we can directly experience the just of that. So even if you're eating a cheeseburger, there's a justness of that. Even though you might be morbidly obese, you might be addicted to cheeseburgers, you might have a panic attack disorder, you might have depression, you might have anxiety. All this stuff, right? That even though that may be the case, there is a justness in breathing, in seeing, in hearing, and in a certain kind of way we take refuge in that. We don't need special spiritual practices, we don't need special complicated ideas about the world, about other people, about ourselves. if we have a connection to that justness, we will be easy to know more and more what to do as we come back to that justness. Because when you're just eating a cheeseburger, you may realize that eating a cheeseburger isn't such an important thing. It is what it is. Maybe it's delicious, maybe it's not, but it's not so important. It's just eating, it's just a cheeseburger. And so, if we have issues with something like our health, or if we have issues with something like our life, we will realize that, oh, naturally, that cheeseburgers are not the answer to our problems, even though they taste good. And in the same way, there very often are things or practices or ways of thinking in our life that are, for whatever reason, give us some sense of pleasure or some sense of escape, but we can clearly perceive that they are not helping us. They may feel pleasurable, but they're not wholesome. They don't give us a good life. You go home?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sukihotu, be happy. Okay. You go home, you take a rest,
Thank you.
be mindful, step by step.
Can I go this way? Or
Yeah, you can walk down there. Now listen to this verse here. Now, when you aspire to go against the current and attain transcendence, so that means to not just follow along with chasing after desire, running away from fear. When you aspire to go against the current and attain transcendence, freedom, enlightenment, it is totally essential to shed your previous knowledge and understanding completely. Freedom. Freedom from mental illness, freedom from physical illness, freedom from the disaster of your life. Just like that. No knowledge or technique is applicable. It is just a matter of seeing right through your own present body, mind, and world. All are illusory reflections of ephemeral light manifested in your own mind, like images in a mirror, like the moon reflected in the water. We, we, we can detach from what is less valuable. So, my life of a monk and my experience with meditation and my just kind of moment to moment daily life as a monk without an online presence, without having followers, without being a teacher or whatever, um, is just fine as it is. So, online, when I do these live streams, um, and previously running an online community, It is just the good chance for me to do good deeds with mindfulness and detachment. It is just the good chance for me to practice what I preach at that moment. So it's a tool. In the same way that people who follow me or look up to me or who see me as a teacher, uh, they should use me as a tool. Use me as a tool to be mindful, use me as a tool to detach, use me as a tool to be concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Not much about the attachment, more about the using without attachment, making use of. No, it's not really about the online following helping to make the merit. It's just how to use that. How to use what we have in the way of doing good deeds with mindfulness, with detachment. It has nothing to do with like a profit margin, like the profit of merits that you get, or like if you're helping more people, you get more merits. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's your own mind, right? So your own practice of kindness, your own practice of mindfulness, your own practice of generosity, your own practice of doing good deeds. The context of the online community or that people are interested is just the good conditions for me to practice mindfulness, for me to practice sharing the Dhamma, for me to practice detachment. It's not about the number of people, right? So it's very, very different from like the influencer culture and things like that. If there were, I spoke about this recently, if there were thousands of people here or 1,000 people here, I probably wouldn't be so comfortable. I'd be a little bit overwhelmed and I wouldn't be able to practice really in the way that I need to practice right now, which is simple and stable and generous and sharing and just listening, being open, because I'm still a young monk. I may have a lot more experience than most people that are uh, live streaming or whatever, but getting stuck in arrogance or getting stuck in a pride is a real trap. So, the fact that there are a few people here who are interested, who care, is is a wonderful opportunity for me to practice what I preach, to do good deeds, to be mindful, to detach, to be open to life, to be held accountable, to be in the light of the awareness of other people, to be sitting in the practitioner's seat publicly. This is why community is very important, because when we have community, when we feel like we're not alone, there's a sense of vulnerability and a sense of intimacy that's really conducive to practice. Because if we're just trying to practice on our own, in our apartment, in our closet, in front of our TV, we're easy to just turn the TV back on. We're easy to just go back to ordering cheeseburgers. But when we're living in a community with certain standards, certain rules, certain responsibilities that we can't just do whatever we want to do. We have to be mindful of the You need your thermos. You need your thermos, your bottle. Okay, I will get for you. I'll bring for you. Maybe some kind of allergies because the season is changing, so maybe there's something is sending out its pollens or something. But I'm really getting accosted by the physical experience. But with mindfulness and detachment, it's not a problem. It's actually a solution because that problem brings awareness. And that awareness is mindfulness. And when we're aware of that uncomfortableness or that difficulty, we're encouraged to detach. We see the importance of detachment at that time. This nun is very kind. She brings me some milk tea in a thermos, so I need to return that thermos to her. Oh. And I often say that in this practice and in this path, there are no halfway crooks. You've got to go all the way. And you don't need to go all the way in terms of your ego, because your ego is all about this like time-based life that doesn't really exist, right? This storyboard of your life. So what it means to be the full-time crook is that you, at that moment of mindfulness, you're really mindful. You're really just aware. You're really just there at that moment, and that's it. It doesn't mean that challenges don't come about. It doesn't mean that difficulties don't come about. It doesn't mean that life comes about. But it means that you embrace life with mindfulness and detachment. You embrace life with an intelligence that is above your thinking mind, above your egoic mind. So usually as monks, we cannot eat afternoon. But seeing as how I have a sickness, the Buddha give us those permissions to have the medicine meal. So Ajahn Brahm often talks about this, that when we're depressed especially, we feel we keep doubling down on this worry and this self-judgment and this like, I'm depressed and I'm depressed and I'm depressed and I'm everything's falling apart. My life is such a loss. Same with being sick. But when you're depressed, there's actually a lot of good points to being depressed. You can just lay around and eat ice cream. You can let your friends know. You can let your community know, I'm just depressed. And at that time, you can decompress. You can really let go. You can really try to take care of yourself. When you're depressed, when you're sick like that, the work is to take care of yourself. to allow that depression, to allow that feeling to process. It doesn't mean make yourself sicker, but it means that you're sick. And you just need to take care of yourself at that time or at that moment. You can't overthink this stuff. Think about it, yes, but think about it in this way of like ask questions that open you to the life that is already here. Because that's your practice ground. That's your working position. The life that is already here. The moment that is already here. So how do we ask questions that bring us back to that rather than putting us into another space? A philosophical space, a conceptual space, a judgmental space. Find ways to express your kindness, your consideration, you can call it love, but find ways to express your care to people, to the people that are in your life, in a way that has no transactional value to it. Meaning, in a way that there's no, okay, I'm going to give you this and you're going to give me that. And actually, when we start to practice with that, this actually can become how we are in relationships, where it's not about this back and forth, this expectation, this kind of conniving, right? Like, well, don't you remember when I did that for you? But we kind of express our love through generosity, through non-transactional generosity. And we make it beautiful, we make it profound, we make it lovely. We put our thought, so often our thought and our kind of technical, advanced thinking mind is used for us to kind of get out ahead. Like, how can I get out ahead in this situation or in this relationship? Or how can I get what I want from this? Or maybe you feel like you owe something to that person and now you have to do something for them. That's not a nice way to live life. But you do have care, you do have love, you do have consideration. So how can you offer only? Not thinking about the giving and taking. See, the giving and taking is where the ego comes in. It's where the greed comes in. It's where the frustration comes in. It's where the delusions come in. The give and take, the making deals. I'm just fair. I did this for you. So now it's time for you to do something for me. This becomes a very stressful, a very complicated, a very psychological way to be in relationship. And actually, we don't have to be in relationship that way. We can be in relationship through generosity. And it's not just like giving something, but it's more of an offering of our consideration that's not based in what we want to get out of it. You see what I'm saying there? And that is an art, and you need to practice with that before that can become beautiful and powerful, right? Because anything that's worthwhile and meaningful to develop, you have to practice with it first in small ways, and then they become middling ways, and then it becomes big ways. And yes, as a human being, we have a very short time on this earth, right? But we can use that time in the best way for helping, not for controlling. Giving, being generous. Yeah, exactly. But it's not just giving or being generous, it's a kind of offering your care, it's an offering your consideration, it's offering um, your love. But it's not offering it in a way that is about you or that other person. It's just about love. Right? It's like you give love, you give consideration. You don't give according to that interpersonal or transactional dynamic. And what does that do? It frees the person who receives, and it frees you as the person who gives. Because when we get into these, I think it's often like boyfriend and girlfriend and husband and wife, where there's always this give and take. There's always this little accountant in the mind on both sides that's calculating. And you may think, oh, this is the perfect partner. They love to support me, they love to please me, they don't want anything back. Trust me, unless that person is completely enlightened, there's a little accountant in there, keeping track. I did this, you did that, da 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 da. Now it's time for the payback. So generosity kind of goes beyond all that, beyond someone doing something, beyond the giver, beyond the receiver. That's the right way to practice like that. There's no differences. You have to cut out, you have to give away this mind that is based on fixation. You cannot understand reality through complicated thinking. You cannot understand a frog by dissecting a frog. You cannot understand a tree by dissecting a tree. You cannot understand me by dissecting my body or dissecting my mind. It is completely impossible. You learn through experience. You learn through trial and error. You learn through opening up to life. The problem is not between giving or being generous or comparing and contrasting them. The problem is fixating on terms, fixating on thoughts, rather than fixating on opening to life. Everything. Let it go in one ear and go out the other. And what's in between there? Not Jim Jom, the accountant or the thinker or the figure outer or the solver, okay? But the awareness, the mindfulness, the mind that is full of awareness, the mind that is full of presence, the mind that is full of heart. And that is the mind that allows this thing to go in one ear and go out the other. And through that, that awareness perceives what is useful and makes use of it immediately, rather than trying to cognize and complicate and philosophize and manipulate and manage. And, nobody's perfect. Thoughts aren't perfect. Trees aren't perfect. Nature isn't perfect, because perfect is just a judgment value. Something that's perfect is only perfect compared to those things that are not perfect. So nature doesn't have discrimination in it. The universal law is non-discrimination. non-picking or choosing. Okay? There's no such thing as taller or shorter in nature, in reality. There's no such thing as better or worse in nature. Okay? Is a giraffe better than a rhinoceros in nature? No. And what are we? We are nature. So this is that higher intelligence, that intelligence of awareness, or that intelligence of presence is dynamic. It shows up, it livens out, it's powerful. It's a shifting moment by moment. What you choose to do with that power is going to define the engineering that exists in your mind. And that's going to show itself up in your life. Who you're involved with, what you get caught up in, the mistakes that you make, the successes that you have. It's not just about like thinking is bad. It's just that thinking is happening and we should stop overly identifying with thinking, especially when it's based on comparing and contrasting and solving, or trying to understand it at the deepest level through thinking. That's foolish. So don't be a fool, be a mule of awareness. And yes, you may have these burdens, you may have these traumas, you may have all this baggage on your back, but you're a mule. You dare to endure. You dare to take step after step after step on this great mountain to freedom. And the nature of that mule, the power of that mule, even though it's a mule, even though it's got all these bags on it and it's heavy and you stink and whatever, the nature of that mule is awareness. So what allows you to keep muling along with all that baggage on your back and all that stink and all that dirty fur that you're covered by, what allows you to keep muling along without crippling anxiety and depression and going into mule psychosis is that mule is aware. The power of awareness, the power of mindfulness, the power of detachment. Even though the burden is heavy, you are aware and you don't get attached to that heaviness. You transform it through step after step after step. But if you're always trying to make deals with yourself and make deals in the world, you're going to be lost as a deal maker. And, deal or not, deal or no deal is canceled. That time has passed. All right? What do you want to be, Donald Trump? You want to be a comedian on a game show? That time has passed. No more deal or no deal. No deals. No transactions. An empty case, an empty mind, an empty reality. Empty here as in boundless, as in vividly, transparently, completely wide open. And from that place of recognition of the wide openness of life, how are you going to live? What are you going to do? But don't think about it too much. Live it. And what should we do? We should do what is good. We should do what helps others. We should be generous. We should be careful about our activities. We should watch what we take in. We should watch what we put out. And when we get the good chance, we should not be so shy about just coming back to the breathing. And through that coming back to the breathing, shining the light of awareness onto this entire body and mind. Without judgment, Okay, right? We want to be a deal maker, then we want to be a judge. No deals, no judges, just everything. Okay, so let's bring our wonderful time together to a close with a bit of a practice where when we come together, when we listen to the Dhamma, when we practice meditation, when we open up to life, we get a lot of blessings, and we don't just want to kind of try to stuff all those blessings into our complicated thinking, into our head, and now how am I going to be a Buddhist? How am I going to be a monk like Bhante? But actually, those blessings are naturally the way that they are already. And as a closing prayer, as a closing practice, we offer those blessings out, those merits, right? The good effects from the good deeds towards all beings. Okay? So, uh, let's take a moment and adjust our posture. Let's make sure we're in a comfortable, stable position. The body might feel uncomfortable, we might feel a little bit sick, no big deal. Close your eyes gently, if it's comfortable for you. Bring the mind to the breathing. It means experience the breathing. Be with the breathing. Feel the richness, feel the aliveness of breathing. Feel the importance of breathing. And even though there may be many thoughts going through the mind, or maybe you have a very big life situation that you identify with that's really going on, maybe the body feels uncomfortable or just a fuzziness in the mind, but recognize a bit that in the midst of all this stuff, as we are aware of the breathing in this moment, there is a sense, even though it's just a small sense, even though it's just a subtle sense, there can be a sense of, in that awareness of breathing, there's a just breathing. Meaning that that's all that life is right now, is just that breathing. And look at that. Appreciate that. Give a value to that breathing experience, that just breathing experience. And breathe as deeply as you like. Enjoy breathing. Be grateful for breathing. In and out. In and out. Just letting the breathing happen, or giving your focus to the breathing. Kind of maybe you feel you need to really breathe deeply right now to stay with that awareness of breathing. So be flexible with your breathing. But really be with it. Really experience the fullness of each moment of breathing. Open up to life. Open up to the whole body and mind, just breathing right now. Just being aware right now. The whole body and mind, the whole world, just awareness right now. Don't judge yourself, don't judge the situation, don't judge the breathing. Just open up to life. Whatever challenges come are wonderful. To be aware of that, to be aware enough of that to go back to your breathing and to open up more to life. Okay, let's share the merits. May all the merits we have done till now be dedicated and shared out towards all beings. May all beings receive and rejoice in these merits. May it be, may it be, may it truly, truly be. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's do our very best without judgment and with a lot of openness to everything that life has to offer in each and every moment. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice.